Love, love, until I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Hello, welcome to Spirit of Life. My name is Geraldine Lee, and our guest is Ryan La Personne. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks, Geraldine. It's lovely to be here.
Yes. I hear you've had faith in God most of your life from your childhood, but there was something that happened, something significant that really got you thinking very deeply about your faith.
Yeah, no, it's my family. It's always been a Catholic background family, so when we were very young, it was pretty much traditional. Well, I suppose like most children, traditional Sunday Mass. You'd go with mum and dad, and when you were younger, like I'm talking single digits, didn't even. Well, it was like you took it for granted. You knew it was God that you prayed and stuff, but there was also the little kids over there as well. So you go and you play in the back, and it was part of your life. So it wasn't even. It was Catholic schools, etc.
Yes.
But it was just part of who I was. So it was never something that I really had a reason to question for a long time. It was really, I suppose it's a strange in a way, but it's something I just took for granted because it was just always a part of me. Then I obviously hit my teenage years like everyone, and you start going through the whole, everyone's ideas crashing on you. Yeah, rebellious stage as well. Yeah. Angry with, the same thing, angry with the world. A teenager, it's the usual hormones, everything going over. And then I just got into a point where I sort of almost, I was still believed in God and Jesus and everything, but it's almost, I'd say, how you call agnostic, where you acknowledge it's there, but it's not part of your life. Yes. And anyway, when I was going back to, I was working one day when I'll slow down. When I work in, I should say, I work in IT, and when I work on a problem, my mind can just go into overload.
I see.
And one of the ways I cope with that is every day I just go and I go to lunch, because I found that when I was thinking about something completely different that wasn't IT related, I'd come up with a solution. But anyway, this particular time I was in the city, and I decided I'm going to get some Japanese food, so that was in my head, just walking in autopilot, so my mind was oblivious to the world, sort of just thinking whatever thoughts it was at the time. Anyway, I remember I was walking up William Street, and I got up to the intersection, and my mind was pretty much close to everything, and I was just deep in my thoughts. And when you're at the intersection, they have the noises for the blind, so it goes when you walk across. Anyway, I heard that noise, and so I started walking forward.
Oh, wow. So you didn't really look at what was happening. No, you just started walking.
I was in my own world.
You were like on auto. Now it's going, much. I can walk.
Yeah. And as soon as I started walking, a car came straight through. And as it came, I felt something grab me on the collar and pull me back. And the car went straight past, so I was like, oh, that was close. So I turned around to thank the person, and there was no one there.
Oh, wow, amazing.
So at that point I knew, okay, well, it's not a theory or it's a belief or anything, it's a fact. But where do I go from here, sort of thing? I like being alive, obviously.
Do you think it was the hand of God or angel?
Yeah, it has to. I do believe that. I believe that 100%. There's no other explanation. I mean, you can use science or you could use whatever you want, but there's no explanation for something physically pulling you back by the collar when there's no one physically there.
And you think that if you had moved forward, you would have definitely been killed?
He was flying.
He didn't know, he couldn't see you at all.
Yeah, it was a green light, so he would have,
he was just going?
Yeah, he was just going. So I was walking across the walking sign, but the walking sign was in that direction, not in that direction.
I see, you thought.
Yeah, so I wasn't even paying attention to the signal, because the signal was to walk, which is what I was doing, but it was the other walkway.
Wow. Yes, and so what happened after that?
That got me into, okay, well, I guess I'm lucky to be I don't know, I was really angry, to be honest. It was like, because, a lot of people, they say, okay, now what do I do with my life? God, can you show me a sign? And especially when I talk to other people they've lost their faith because they're Catholic, but they had a niece who was young and they died, and it's like, God, how could you do that? Why did you take someone so innocent? And and their life's been taken, and then they rebel against God, and they say, well, there's obviously no God because there's no God that's that cruel. And it was almost like the opposite. I was thinking, what's so special about me that I should be saved while there's all this other stuff? So
Yes.
I believed in God. I mean, I still did, but I was very annoyed. It was like, okay,
You wanted to find what your destiny was.
exactly, what's my
because
purpose? If I'm saved, there's obviously something I have to do. But why are you making it so hard for me to find that purpose?
Yes. What did you do to look?
That's a really hard one. As I said, I've got an IT background, so my mind is very much factual. Like, I'm driven to understand things. And like with a computer, it's easy to understand. Pull it apart, you see components. You can't pull apart God. There's no manual to God. There's lots of people have their own theories and things, and you've obviously got the Big Bang Theory and everything else. But you can't say, well, we just did a diagram of God the other day. He sat down while we sketched him. Here you go, and here's a complete layout. You can't do that. So in all honesty, I've gone in so many directions. I tried meditation, trying to go that way and clear my mind. I've got a very fast buzzing mind, so I find that really hard. I think I started having to... first thing I did is I stopped watching news, period. Like,
Wow.
I didn't even know about what happened in the Philippines until yesterday.
Nice.
Because I just found that there's so much things that saturate us and say, life is bad, this is what you should do, things trying to dictate what you should be doing rather than using your inner source. So the first thing is, as soon as I started blocking the news out, it was easier to think because it wasn't my own brain competing against the rest of the world. It was just my mind and a lot less clutter in there.
Yes. And I mean, that started you really on an exploration journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. It's very fascinating, people's journey. On that note, we're going to have to take a break now. You're watching Spirit of Life. See you again after the break. Welcome back to Spirit of Life. I'm Geraldine Lee, your host, and our guest is Ryan La Personne. Welcome back, Ryan.
Thank you.
Yes, you were sharing about how you had experienced that where you were nearly hit by this car, and that took you on exploration of your faith. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's... I did spend a lot of years wandering. I should say that even in that I had a lot of Catholic friends. Like when in my younger years, I went to a group called Antioch, which was a lot of Christian youth. So I think even there, all of us was like, we all believed, but we didn't know how to apply it. We were still all having that sort of searching part. It was a really long journey. Like there's no simple, this was the moment when everything made sense to me. It was really just... I had to stop being so angry with the world just for existing the way it was, and I had to start seeing the good things, like seeing the people that would really, how would I say it, put themselves out there, like doing things without expecting anything in return. The selfless way of living, I guess.
How did you come to that selfless attitude?
I think I'm still struggling with that one, to be honest.
It's something you aspire to do.
It actually comes more to something very recent. Last year, I did a life seminar and...
Life in the Spirit?
It was with a company in Sydney, but it concentrated on the 4 parts of your life. It was health, wealth, fitness, and spirituality. So some of it was really good. It was for 7 days, and this part's going to sound really strange, but it was probably the first time in my entire life where I spent any time on myself at all. Like, everyone's obviously they're by themselves, regardless of when they're married or whatever, but you never sort of sit down and write down what you think. Exactly, where am I? What is it? What do I do? Like, I remember, I think on day one, one of the questions they asked you was, "What's your passion?" And at that point, it was 37 years. I had absolutely no idea what my passion was. Things like, "What's your passion? What's your dream?" It's like, really? Do I really have to answer that? I don't know. That's why I came here for you to tell me. But it doesn't work like that. So from that, one of the things I got out of that was communication. So and things were happening in my life at the time where last year was sort of the best year of my life and the worst year of my life at the same time.
Wow.
And it was very coincidental the way it happened. Like those types of things, if you asked me 2 years ago, what do you think about self-improvement, God, and NLP, all the type of things where people, it's very strange because all the things that people associate as a positive, society has such a negative on. It's like you try to better yourself for any reason and people all of a sudden, they don't want to associate with you that way because they're like, what are you trying to tell me that you're better? And it's not like that because it's a very personal thing. It's about you improving yourself so you can be better with other people. You're not doing it to show off or to say, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. It's about finding your centre, about finding the real you, which it's so easy to... I mean, I'm like everyone else. I do have my guards every now and then, and it's a defensive human thing.
Yes. You're right that in our society at the moment, maybe even Australia, they say if you start to look at your spiritual life and all, they think, oh, there's something weird with you. It's like if you drink beer and go to the pub and have lots of girlfriends and go out, that's kind of normal. Yeah,
it's almost taboo. Like it's unfortunate, but it's okay. Like if you look at modern society, it's okay to make fun of Christianity. But if you talk about Christianity in a serious sense, it's like, who are you? Go away. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm not even talking about like putting a Bible and saying, come on, we're going to now read this. I'm not even talking about going to that direction. It's just, look, I'm Christian. It's like, oh, okay. It's almost like it's an end of conversation. Which football team do you go for? Yes. So it's almost like it's a taboo subject. People just don't want to even think about it because, and I don't know, it's a hard one, so I'm not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Project, but it's like people don't want to think at a deeper level. They're so used to being bombarded with media and everything, everyone saying, this is what you're doing. If you do this, this is the easy way, this is the right way. Don't even bother thinking about things for yourself anymore. And when people go, oh my goodness, this is so easy. All this time I was trying to think, I was trying to find my purpose. But I just have to buy the latest shoes or drink that beer or use that shaving cream and everything will be good. Yes. And then they go to sleep.
And do you think it's men more than women that have that attitude, or both genders?
It's definitely both. I actually find that I do a lot of contracting, so I'm fortunate because I go to lots of different businesses, so I see a lot of way staff and people work, but I'm not directly in the politics of when you're working for a single company.
I see.
Now, because of that, I'll see how people, like you get some people that do, women, this is just a generalisation of what I've seen in
non-judgmental.
Yes. Women seem to have a habit of being really harsh with other women.
Really?
It's
not solidarity.
Not solidarity, like a guy's problem.
They criticise each other.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's almost the old school, if a guy's got a problem with a guy, just say you're in a pub, for example, you might punch him, he might punch you, you'll both get annoyed, then you have a drink at the end of it and say, hey, mate. But we get it, it's like we get it, whatever our issue is, we'll be annoyed with people because we're still all human, but we'll try and get it out of the way most of the time. Whereas maybe it's because women don't hit each other, I'm not advocating that whatsoever, but it's like there's a different set of rules where... mental damage can be just as damaging or more damaging than physical damage.
Yeah, so they speak bad criticism.
Criticism, yeah, exactly. But there's no one like, I know that in the 90s or 80s, it used to be, okay, the guys are in charge of the company, everyone's following them. But I think when I see a lot of societies, like I've got to law firms or accounting firms or whatever, and I'm not saying that's where I've seen the problems, but everyone's got a very similar level of power now. It's not like you're the boss. It's like, I suppose I could use the 80s as an example. If I've finished high school in the 80s, I would have expected to go into a job. Yes. That job would have been my life. Yes. I would have retired with a golden watch and a pension.
Yeah. It's interesting about the genders, but on that note, we're going for a break. You're watching Spirit of Life. We're going for a break now. Stay tuned with us.
Till I hear but breath of the Spirit flowing in me. Love, love, until I be but breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Welcome back to Spirit of Life. Our guest is Ryan La Personne, and I'm Geraldine Lee, your host. Welcome back, Ryan.
Thank you, thank you.
You've been sharing your faith journey and how you've noticed that in the corporate world, would you say the corporate world,
Exactly.
there is, people don't seem to want to talk about God or faith, and you've noticed gender differences. I'm interested particularly in, to some extent they say that if, when you don't have faith, you're struggling with power struggles and trying to compete with each other. Do you think maybe that's what's happening?
It is, and it's also, I was having this discussion with someone the other day, it's everyone has a religion and everyone has a faith, even if you're an atheist. The problem is that your religion, you won't even know you're following it. And I'll give you an example. One of the most common religions I see in Australia for atheists is football. Or it's cricket. I will talk to someone who knows something about, like, I know very little about football, to be honest, aside from the basics. But you talk to them, they'll talk about the players, the statistics, they'll know every year what oval it was. They'll know about as much as them studying football as someone else will be studying their faith.
Wow.
And it's not an issue as such, but when you look at someone that way, that's where they're getting their role models. So to them, this is going to be a sort of hard way of saying it, but the football players to them are their saints. So when you start understanding, you just have to sort of go outside yourself and try and understand how they see the world. Okay, so this person thinks this way. Why have they got that value system? And the easiest way to do it is find out what do they strongly believe in? What can you say that annoys a person? Because if that's usually where their centre is. Like if you just say you go to a Collingwood person, you say Collingwood is the worst team in the world. You watch them back up straight away and they'll come and defend.
So it's almost a bit about like passionate. And
exactly.
And I hear that you went to a singles conference that had the word passion and purity. Do you think there was something in the conference that maybe, rung true for you? Because you're meeting a lot of singles who probably will be the same age as people in the corporate world. Did you notice a difference?
I think it was the conference was excellent. It was... What made it very unique to any of the other ones that I've gone to is it wasn't just Catholics or Baptists or Protestants, it was a mix of everyone put together. So it was probably the first time where I talked to a broad spectrum of people and we could just talk openly about the differences and how it is. And at the end of the day, there really weren't that many differences. Some people might have done things a little bit differently, but ultimately our faith was the same.
Did it seem to help in your spiritual journey, the singles conference?
It did. It was... I'm trying to think of how to define it, to be honest. There really was a lot that I took on in the last couple of days. I suppose answering part of the spiritual journey even to today. Before last weekend, the last time I'm Catholic, the last time I went to confession was when I was 21. So yesterday was the second time I made a confession in 17 years.
Wow.
So, and that really did help me because I felt like I was dragging something that I knew I needed our strength for, and basically went through and confessed what had happened. And I think with and when I suppose I should say, when you confess, it's a very personal thing. Like, just say, for example, this isn't what I did, but I'm using a hypothetical. Just say you stole $5,000 from the money till, and then you go to confession and say, hey, God, I stole $5,000. And you go, oh, confessed, yes, I don't have to worry about it. But it's not like that. You have to be at a stage where you are genuinely sorry and repentant, and you are asking for forgiveness because you've come to that peace in yourself and you acknowledge that it needs to be forgiven from a higher power, and then you can finally let that part go.
Yes, and so... often people talk about forgiveness. Do you feel a sense of being set free, or do you believe you're forgiven?
I do. I absolutely do.
So,
forgiveness is probably one of the really hard ones because I suppose it was something else I took away from yesterday as well. It's Jesus obviously died on the cross, but I've always seen it as he died for our sins. But yesterday, it was the first time I'd ever heard the phrase, his love he was up there because of love. So his love for us was why he was on the cross. And to me, that's a completely different way of looking at exactly the same question. Like sin and love are two different things. That sin is suffering and pain. And look, I wouldn't want to be put up on a cross. I have no intention of doing that. But to be up there on the strength of love is a completely different way of looking at it.
When you thought about God's love for you on the cross, when that priest spoke about that, what did it do? What were you thinking when that happened?
It was almost a relief, in all honesty, because it's a very hard question. In all honesty, it really made me think about what I really want to do, and I think that's what I've been really struggling with this last year or so, is just what my purpose is. And obviously, I think I've been so used to just doing everything from I will just push through it sort of thing.
Yes.
I think now it's more a question of just relaxing and sort of going with the flow or the will, so to speak, and not trying to exert my will and saying, God, I'm here, do it now, I'm waiting.
Yes, show me exactly what you want me to do.
Exactly.
Yes, because for some people, that can be a God in itself. They're looking for the perfection or looking for the right answer.
I think that's exactly what I've been doing, and I think I've been going around that part the wrong way. It's more, when it's time, I'll understand what it is. But now I know it's sort of like, I've passed that crossroad, I know I'm on the right path. It's just going to the next stage and not looking behind every sort of corner going, is it there? Nope. Is it there? Nope. Sort of thing.
Yes, it's like, I suppose a lot of people, tend to think, oh, what's my destiny? What am I aiming for?
Yeah.
But sometimes I know some friends who are involved in the Fokalare movement, they say it's living and loving the present moment.
That's an excellent way of seeing it.
Yes, and enjoying the present moment, like living in that thing. Yeah, I can relate to that spirituality, like of living and loving the present moment, because you've got to smell the flowers in the garden while you're going through the streets rather than that's
like
powerful.
Old Chinese proverb. I'll see if I can remember correctly. Tomorrow is history. Yesterday is a mystery. That is why today is a present.
Yeah, and that's powerful. Thanks for sharing your journey and story. It's been very powerful and very inspiring for me, and I'm sure the viewers will love it. So I hope you can come back on our show again. No
problem. Thanks for it was very lovely, Geraldine.
Thank you. You've been watching Spirit of Life. Tune in next week and be with us, and God bless you.